All right, so yeah, that last pick, fight does not go the distance. I agree as well. So I
Yeah,
can't see them finishing each other. Just the way Ibrahimov fights. So yeah,
yeah, under 2.5 for me, minus 135.
yeah. All right, next fight. Your mic is kind of screeching a little bit.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right, next fight we have a heavyweight fight. It's Jeff Hughes versus Juan Espino. Juan Espino is the favorite at negative 300, and Jeff Hughes at plus 250. Um, yeah, heavyweight fight. I wouldn't pay negative 300 for Juan Espino. I'm not saying that you should pick Jeff Hughes either, but I would not pay that much juice for a low level heavyweight fight because
Yeah,
it is heavyweight and anything could happen. And Espino doesn't look like he has much hands. He just kind of like rushes for the takedown. And I just want to know like what happens if he doesn't get it. So
hmm,
I don't know. I mean, if Hughes could get past the first round, and maybe Espino, because Espino looks like he just freaking he puts all his energy into getting that takedown. And
yeah,
if Espino doesn't have the gas tank to last, then maybe Hughes might be able to pick him apart in the later rounds. So I don't know how to bet this fight. I would not take Espino. I mean, I think Espino's probably gonna win, but at negative
hmm,
300, come on now. Like, what do you? Why are you betting a low level heavyweight fight at negative 300? Like, that's crazy talk. So
yeah,
I'm actually looking at the over 1.5 that I might play at negative 160. So, but that's just for action. I wouldn't even recommend a play on that either. But I do plan on like putting a little bit of money on the 1.5 just for some action. But yeah, I would not do that.
yeah. It's super low level. Like one dude, Jeff Hughes. Are you able to hear me clearly now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. So as far as Jeff Hughes, I mean, he should have been cut in his last fight, or after his last fight, rather.
Yeah.
He what? So he has 3 fights in the UFC. He lost his decision to Maurice Green, and then he went to a no contest against Todd Duffy. That was where they had eye pokes, and then he lost the decision to Rafael Pessoa. So I mean, the only positive thing about Hughes is that he's durable, but he's not even good at anything. Not even he's like low level basically. And then Espino, he hasn't fought in what 2 years.
Yeah, he's like 39
So
years old as well.
yeah, he's 39. He hasn't fought in almost 2 years. He's gonna be 40 in like a couple weeks. So he'll be 40 years old in a couple weeks. Jeff Hughes hasn't fought in just about a year since October of last year. So yeah, I think the line you chose of over 1.5 seems pretty good. I think that Jeff Hughes knows he just needs to survive that first round and let Espino kind of gas himself out, tire himself out. Espino is a bigger dude, 6'4" versus 6'2". So once he gets past that first round, Jeff Hughes will be able to just pitter patter his way to a
Hmm.
decision win or decision loss. But either way, I
Yeah,
think over one and a
that
half is
line is
safe.
plus 490 for Hughes by decision. I mean, I might throw a couple, a little bit of pocket change on that for fun.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
all right. So it's a light heavyweight fight. It looked like a heavyweight fight, but light heavyweight fight between Alexa Kamer versus William Knight. Um, Kamer is the younger dude. Uh, he is Stipe's training partner, I think. And William Knight is a dude who came out of Dana White's Contender Series. Looks like a big, buff black dude. They both look pretty athletic because I seen Kamer knock somebody out with a flying knee in his Dana White Contender Series fight, and then William Knight, I think he just knocked somebody out via like elbows to the back. Oh, not the back of the head, but like downward. I don't know. The Travis Brown thing. And then the dude goes and does a backflip. So they both seem kind of athletic. Um, However, I watched some of William Knight's fights on YouTube, just kind of browsing through it a little bit, and I didn't really like what I saw. Like, he doesn't seem like he's that skilled of a fighter.
mhm,
I've seen him like he doesn't even look that good of a grappler, and yet sometimes he kind of goes for the grappling. I'm not sure why. I've seen a couple of videos of dudes like swinging at him, and his defense was to put his hands out and try to reach for something, and that's like that mummy defense, like it's not it's not even a defense at all. It's just doesn't it doesn't it's not a good look. He doesn't look like a good fighter. He looks like he's a hard hitter, but doesn't look like he can take it. Cameron, on the other hand, he looks a lot. It looks like he actually has a style. Um, he can kick. He has a decent boxing. He's not, he's not that good, but he does a lot of basic stuff, kind of like how Stevie does. He's, very basic, a lot of his stuff.
Yep.
So just because just from that, for me viewing, like again, I'm no expert in these guys, but just from the little that I've seen of William Knight, where he sticks his hands out, just like sticking his hands out like that, like it's not really great defense. So I'm gonna go with the younger dude, Alexa Kamer. I'll take his money line at negative 165.
Yeah. Just going back to that previous fight, I'm pretty sure that Espino didn't spend time in because he's with ATT, and I think I don't think he was in Florida for this
Mm,
camp. So he's coming from his
okay.
home country of Spain. Anyway, as for this Kamer fight, I agree that Kamer is the more well-rounded fighter. The thing I didn't like in his previous fight and in the UFC is that I didn't like kind of how easy he was to be hit. Luckily for him, he was fighting against Ledet, if I remember correctly.
But that's a good
And
boxer.
yeah, he's a boxer, but he's like more of just a jabber. He's like he he is a boxer, but he only does one thing great, which is jab, in my opinion. Um,
Okay.
and that's Ledet rather. And so yeah, I do think that Cameron's more well-rounded, but I fear that he's going to get clipped. Um, if it gets past maybe the round and 1.5 mark, I think he'll win a decision or maybe even get a late late TKO because both of these dudes are finishers. We have Kamer. He has 5 knockouts out of his 6 wins and 1 decision, and then William Knight has 8 knockouts in his 8 wins and 1 loss by knockout.
Mm-hmm.
That was against Tafon and Chukwi, who won the last. He won on the last Dana White's Contender Series event, so he's pretty good. But anyway, so I think that Nchukwi is sorry, not Nchukwi. Sorry, I think William Knight is dangerous. He has a shot here, but I think that if he doesn't get that first round finish, maybe round or like maybe first 7 minutes finish, then he's going to be in big trouble and he's gonna lose the fight. So it's what's the inside the distance line here? What do we have here? We have ITD is minus
Probably
280.
really expensive.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure how to
Too
play it. I
expensive.
guess like Kamer, he's minus 165 right now. I don't want to pay that. Um, I don't know. I think it'll end inside the distance. I'm not really sure how I'll play it yet. But Kamer is my pick.
Okay. I'll take Kamer. All right. Ludovic Klein versus Shane Young. Odds are pretty much even. Um, Klein is the new guy. I watched a little bit of tape on him as well. He looked decent. He's got a pretty basic style where he just throws a 1-2.
Mhm.
From the southpaw. He'll throw the left body kick. He'll throw it low as well, and then he'll also throw the head kick. And that's pretty much all he does. He moves his feet. Um, he looks like he has some submission ability as well, by judging by his record. But
Mhm.
it looks like he mainly tries to strike, and yeah, it's a pretty basic style, but very effective. He does it very cleanly, and yeah, he looks kind of sharp. And he looks like he's pretty physical as well. So I kind of like what he's got. I don't know if he's gonna be a top fighter or anything like that, but I do know that he's probably UFC level.
Mhm.
Um, Shane Young is also pretty. He's pretty decent himself. Like, he looks like a really tough son of a bitch. He keeps on coming. He's very scrappy. He gets in your face. He's always throwing out feelers, a jab. He's always he likes to fight in a very close distance.
Mhm.
And he likes the pressure. So and then also he's fighting with his teammates here, with City Kickboxing. So that should be in his favor as well. Um, I don't know what Shane Young is really good at though. I mean, like, I guess he's a striker, but he's an okay striker. So he's kind of an average fighter for the most part. Um, I don't know how the fight's gonna go, but I mean, I have 2 plays on this fight, and one of them is the fight going over 2.5, just because Shane Young, he's really tough to put away.
Mhm.
Um, and Shane Young doesn't really like he's not much of a finisher either. So I think the over 2.5 at even odds is pretty okay. But then also, I'm gonna throw some money on Klein by decision, just because the odds. The odds are just it's they're big odds, and Shane Young has never been knocked out. He's known to be really tough, so the odds pay out of grip. So I'm gonna fucking play it. So who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
Also, one other thing too is but if the fight does finish, I'm afraid that Klein might head kick him or something, because it looks like he has a really good head kick.
Hmm.
So but yeah, Young he looks really tough. I can see Young winning a decision as well. So it could go either way, and if it's gonna go either way, I might as well take Klein because the odds pay out really really good. So that's my pick.
Yeah. I haven't watched too much tape on Klein, but I know Shane Young pretty well. Just looking at the odds real fast. Actually, I guess I'll give my input and then I'll look at the odds and
Uh huh.
add. So as far as Klein, I just know that I was going to just throw at so basically at first I was going to just throw a shot in the dark with Klein because a lot of people are hyping him up online saying he's a legit striker, but that's kind of like what he only does. He's not well rounded. So I was like, all right, well, if he's a legit striker and he's coming in on short notice against this dude who's expecting to fight someone else with a little bit different style, I was like, all right, well, maybe he get that finish, or maybe he could surprise someone. But now the line's flipped, and Shane Young went from a minus 165. It opened at minus 165 against Klein, and then it got bet down to minus 215. Now Shane Young is the underdog at minus 105. So basically, you went from minus 215 to minus 105 for Young. Um, so Shane Young, while he's young, he's only 27. By just me looking at Sherdog, he says he's 27 right now. Just turned uh just turned 27 actually, not that long ago, and he rarely fights is the thing. So he fought once in 2017 in the UFC. He lost to Volkanovski, which is by decision, which is that's not it's not that big of a deal in your debut. And then he beat that scrub Rolando D the very next year. So he beat him by a TKO in the second round. And then he fought the following year against Austin Arnett, and he won by decision. So he's basically fighting once per year. Now we're into 2020 towards the end. So he's basically the past 4 years he's fought like once each year during the past 4 years in the UFC. So he needs to pick it up, I guess. So anyway, as far as stats go, Shane Young is 5'8", Klein is 5'7". They both have a 72-inch reach. It's Klein is listed as a southpaw. I'm not sure if he switches it up or not. Shane Young is an orthodox fighter. What I'm kind of worried about with Young is that while he does throw a lot of strikes, he has a high output when he's not facing someone like Volkanovski. If he's facing like a regular dude who's like mid range or low level, he'll be able to shine, and his output is going to be able to you'll be able to see how much he throws. So basically, he has a high output, but he eats a lot of shots. That's what is kind of scaring me here. Um, he he has let me go back to this part here. So he lands 6.10, so 6.1 strikes landed per minute, which is really high. But then his strikes absorbed are 5.09. So basically, he lands 6 strikes per minute and he absorbs 5 per minute. So in 3 rounds, he absorbed 57. Sorry, no, two. Sorry, in 2 rounds, he absorbed 57 strikes, significant strikes in 2 rounds. So like nearly 30 strikes per 5 minutes is what he's absorbing against D. And then against Austin Arnett, he absorbed 77 significant strikes. Will Klein be able to land a whole bunch on him, or is he more of a fighter who picks his shots? I guess we'll see. Um, I'm kind of feeling better about Young being the underdog now, just because he had a full camp. He's coming from a good team that has a lot of good strikers on that team. So it's him, Israel Adesanya, Kai Kara France, and then also their striking coach, if I remember correctly, Brad Riddell.
Mm-hmm.
So he's coming from a good camp. He had a full camp, and he's he's seasoned. He's well seasoned, and I think I'm either going to choose once I get to Vegas, I'm gonna either choose Shane Young at he looks like he's at plus 105 on William Hill or plus 100. So I'm gonna take him at plus money when I get to Vegas, or if I'm feeling a little bit different by the time I get there, I might take the over 2.5, which is at plus 100. Um, Five Dimes looks like it has the decision at plus 115, but if I could get plus 100 at over 2.5, I'll take that. So yeah, I'll take Young or the over 2.5 at plus 100.
Okay. Yeah. Should be a close fight. I'm not really sold on either guy. So, Diego Sanchez versus Jake Matthews. Oh my God,
Mm.
Diego Sanchez still fighting. Negative 750. Jake Matthews and Diego Sanchez plus 525. What did it really break down? Diego is crazy, batshit crazy, and he's with that the touch butt the new touch butt the new touch butt guy.
Yeah,
I forget his coach's name.
me too.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of want to skip this fight. Like Jake Matthews is probably gonna win.
Yeah, we don't need
I
to
guess
break
you
down.
can kind of make the big. I mean, whether he finishes him or decisions him, I guess is the question.
Yeah,
Diego Sanchez is known for having a good, chin and good cardio, but at this advanced age, who knows if this is the fight he breaks, So
mm,
I'm guessing though Jake Matthews is probably gonna win by decision. But yeah, that's my pick. Probably Jake Matthews by decision.
yeah. In Jake Matthews fights, I mean, sometimes he could just dominate his opponents, and then sometimes he could like look really sketchy, and then sometimes he looks sketchy and loses. So there's like three different versions of him. He either dominates, he looks sketchy and wins, or he looks sketchy and loses. Um, so I have actually have this fight in a parlay. I have Jake
Good.
Matthews. Jake Matthews not inside the distance. So basically, I put it as a prop. So Matthews not inside the distance. So that way, there's more variations of ways to win that bet. So it's minus
Mhm.
180. Uh,
Okay.
and I have that in a parlay. Um, it's not a big parlay. It's just something to gamble on. I just think that
Hmm.
while Jake Matthews is the much younger dude, the much bigger dude, the much stronger dude, he's not a great striker. He doesn't have one punch. He doesn't have one punch KO power. He's not going to submit. He's not going to submit um, Diego Sanchez. He could TKO him just
Hmm.
because Diego's starting to get his chin is starting to fail him in his last few fights. Or let me see here. I'll tell you real quick. Let's see here. I shouldn't say last few fights, but if we go back to his last fight against Matt Brown in 2017, he lost by that fucking crazy elbow. And then earlier that year, he lost by knockout punches to Eli Quinta. Before that, he beat Held by decision. And then before that, he lost to Joe Lozon in the first round by knockout, TKO. So, but those were back in 2016 and 2017. Since then, 2018, 19, 19, and 20. So, like, his last four fights, they all went to his decision except for the TKO when he got over Mickey Gall because he gassed. I just think that Matthews, while he should win here, he's going to go hard and try to get that finish. But I think that Diego is going to be able to last and not get TKO'd here. Matthews only has four
Okay.
TKOs on his record out of 16 wins, and then he has 7 subs and 5 decisions. Um, yeah, it's basically it should be a pass fight, but I just wanted a little
Yeah.
piece of it.
If the
So
fight finishes, then it'll be Jake Matthews by TKO or somehow. But I don't see how
yeah,
Matthews isn't really that big of a puncher. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm thinking probably decision, but I'm not gonna put any money on it. So
that's the best.
I'm probably not even gonna watch it. Brad Riddle versus Alex De Silva. This one looks pretty good. I'm actually excited to watch Brad Riddle fight just because he's a very vicious striker,
Yeah,
and Alex De Silva. I'm not really sure what to make of it. He seems like a very young dude. He has a really good record, but it's kind of padded against some bums. So if I mean De Silva looks like he's got 13 knockouts and 7 submissions. So if he strikes with Riddle, I think Riddle is probably gonna knock him out. However, I've seen Alex de Silva go for takedowns before. And then I think that was a fight against Yakovlev, and then he ended up getting submitted. So I don't know if Silva's gonna strike with him. If he does, I think it's gonna be really bad for him. I think Riddle's gonna take him out, standing.
Mhm.
But if he does try to wrestle, with Riddle, I don't. I think Riddle's wrestling defense is already past that point where like I don't think Silva is gonna have much of an edge on the ground. You know what I mean? Even Mustafayev, had a hard time holding Riddle down or getting him down. So if Mustafayev couldn't get success, out grappling Riddle, I don't see how Alex de Silva will. Riddle, man, this dude's a beast, man. Like, he's got a beast of a left hook. He's got some great kicks. He's got a ton of power. And you would think that a kickboxing transplant would maybe transplant over a little bit later in his career, but no, Riddle's actually only 28 years old, so he's got some youth on his side. So he has some time to improve on his overall MMA game, and it looks like he has been. So yeah, give me Riddle. I mean, I'm thinking knockout, but it could go decision too. So who knows? I mean, his last two fights have gone the distance. So, but like in my head, for some reason, I feel like it's gonna be a knockout by Riddle. So I'll take that one. Plus 155. Riddle. His money line is negative 340, so it's a little too steep for me to be playing anything with that line. But I guess I'll have to take a prop and go for the knockout. So yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna bet on this fight just because I'm a DGen, but as of now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want I don't want any piece of this fight just because yeah, Riddell is a superior striker in whether it's the feet, the
Mm-hmm.
knees, the hands, or whatever compared to De Silva, but De Silva's young and he's decent. He kind of reminds me of like a low level what's his face, Charles Oliveira, as far as his striking style and the jujitsu. They're both tall and long for the division, um, for the respective divisions. And but I just think that De Silva is like at this stage he's too green. He does have a good record, but he's too green. And I don't. The reason why I'm passing on is just as of right now is just because I just like I wouldn't be surprised if De Silva has somehow like jumps on his back when they get near the fence, or some bullshit happens to where they get the clinch and maybe Riddell doesn't get taken down, but he gets like wrapped up in something and get dragged, or maybe he gets his back taken by some random shit. Um, so yeah, I mean Riddell should win, but I just don't want a piece of that at the moment. And what is the ITD line? I said
Negative
right.
150.
Yeah, like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to a decision. If De Silva can't get that lucky that fluky submission, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to a
Mm-hmm.
decision. What's his? I'm not sure if you already mentioned his decision line. Let me see. Plus 165 for Riddell. Um,
For Riddle, yeah.
yeah, maybe I'll take that, but I'll wait and
Okay.
see
Well, I
how it
wouldn't
goes.
be surprised either way. I mean, I just want to take the
Yeah.
knockout just because I don't know. I want some action on this fight. So,
Oh yeah. So,
all right, moving on. We have
sure.
this is I think the first fight of the pay per view, which is Hakeem Dawodu versus Zubaira Tuhugov,
Mhm.
which should be a good fight. Um, Tuhugov is the favorite here, negative 140, and the comeback on Dawodu is plus 120. Um, I feel like this is going to be a very competitive fight, so I don't really know who to lean on.
Mhm.
However, I mean, I like taking the Dagestanis at a very low price, so I'm low key thinking about taking Tuhugov, but it's not a strong pick in any way.
Mhm.
However, I mean, like, I know Devoto is mainly a kickboxer, and correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Tuhugov a good wrestler as well? I mean, I know he knows how to strike. He mainly does strike, but can't Tuhugov? No, doesn't he know how to wrestle as well?
He's mostly a wrestler. He's a super low
Oh, is
output
he?
striker.
Okay, well
Yeah.
then there it is. I mean, if he could strike and he can wrestle, he has more ways to win. So give me the Russian. Give me the Dagestani by negative 140. However, it's not a super strong pick just because I know Devoto is a pretty strong kickboxer as well. So, I know that Tuhugov he likes he fights kind of bladed, so his lead leg is pretty out there, and I know Devoto is a really good low kicker. So, I'm looking out for that. So, however, I can see Tuhugov getting the fight down to the ground and winning that fight that way. So close fight, but I'm gonna go with Tuhugov just because of his ability to wrestle. So yeah,
Yeah, I love this fight. This is one of the three fights that I am
it's a fun fight. Yeah, that's a fun
one of the
fight.
three fights I'm putting on this card. Um, this one and two other ones we'll get to later. Actually, there's four fights that I like to bet, but this is one of the three that I'm most confident in. I actually like Duwadu here. So
Mm-hmm.
we have mean, woo, Hakeem Duwadu. So he is coming out of Canada, and he's 5'8". Let me read both of their stats at the same time. So they're both of these dudes are 5'8". Duwadu has a 73-inch reach. Tuhugov has a 68-inch reach. So it's a 5-inch difference in reach. If you look on Wikipedia, it's going to say that they have the exact same reach at 73 inches, which is wrong. I noticed that today, but I didn't bother editing it or changing it myself to help people out. I'll let people think that Tahua has a similar reach, but he actually is 5 inches shorter in reach. If you look at their UFC fights, it even says that when they're showing the intros before each fight that he has a 68-inch reach. So Duwadu, they're both same height, 5-inch reach advantage for Duwadu. There's a big output advantage for Duwadu in the striking as far as how many strikes he throws and lands. So as far as strikes landed per minute, it's 5.28 for Duwadu and 2.58 for Tuhugov. So it's like double strikes landed per minute. And then strikes absorbed, they're around the same. It's 2.31 versus 2.07. So basically, Duwadu's throwing a lot more and landing a lot more, like double, and he's absorbing around the same amount. Tuhugov is mainly focused on throwing a big punch, and he'll do that in order to close the distance. So he'll get you to either eat that shot and then clinch and take you down, or try to block that shot and then come in and try to take you down. So any strike he throws, it's usually going to be a heavy shot, heavy punch, usually over like an overhand, and he's going to use that to try to close the distance. In his fight against, sorry, I had a blank there. In his fight against Lerone Murphy in his last fight, or no, sorry, not his last fight, 2 fights ago. So 2 fights ago, he fought Lerone Murphy. Lerone Murphy has the same exact build as Zawadu, except for he's 1 inch taller. They both have the same reach. So the fight against Lerone Murphy and Zubaira, that went to a draw. Zubaira got 22. He landed 22 strikes, and he got 6 takedowns. So he took Lerone Murphy down 6 times, but just because he literally just laid on him the entire time and didn't try to do any damage at all, it went to a split draw. So and then we saw what happened with Lerone after that in his next fight where he dominated Ricardo Ramos and won his money. And anyway, so I think we're going to see a lot of the same here. Duwadu does start a little slow, but other people are like, oh yeah, he starts real slow. I'm afraid of him losing the first round. Well, he's patient, and he likes to feel his opponents out and land. Just like you mentioned, he lands those leg kicks. So I think he's going to be using those leg kicks and even like the ankle kicks against Tuhugov, and he's going to be using his far superior striking. And he will throw less in this fight, so I would avoid it on DraftKings, for example. But as far as a pick at plus 120, the guy who's the more well-rounded guy, I'll definitely take Duwadu here all day. And he's also good at getting back up to his feet. So if you happen to look at Duwadu's his record, yeah, he got taken down. Let's see here. In his last 4 fights, he beat Austin Arnett by decision. Austin Arnett's a taller dude. He's well-rounded. Then he beat Kyle Bochniak. So against Arnett, he landed 75 strikes in a decision. Against Bochniak, he landed 103 strikes. Bochniak took him down twice, but Duwadu was able to get back up and style on him in the striking. And then he landed his next fight. He got a TKO over this dude named Yoshinori Hori, who I don't really remember who that was. He was just he only fought once in the UFC and then they cut him. He landed 80 strikes on that dude, and then he beat Julio Arce in his last fight. Arce got one takedown, but after that, Hakeem was able to outstrike him, almost double the strikes. So yeah, give me Hakeem, mean Hakeem Dawadu at plus 120. It's only getting better because all this fucking hype is coming in on Tuhugov. I was about ready to take Hakeem when it was minus 110 apiece. But
Mm-hmm.
now give me plus 120, and by the time we get to Vegas, it'll probably be even better. What's the decision line? It's plus 190. I'll pass
Yeah.
on the plus 190 just because his
Yeah.
the
I would take
go
the
ahead.
money line. If you're getting plus
Yeah,
odds already. I mean,
yeah.
you're getting plus odds already. I would just stick to the money line.
Yeah. William Hill shows it plus 220. So like in a couple of days when I get there, it'll probably even be even juicier. So for now, give me Mean Hakeem all day to win plus 120.
Okay. I mean, I'm not mad at that. I think it's gonna be competitive. So,
Hmm.
well, I mean, I think it could be. So, all right. Yeah, I don't have a strong pick on that one. So, I just like the fight in general as a. I mean, yeah, I think it's a fun fight to watch. So,
Yeah.
um, Ketlin Vieira versus Sijara Eubanks. Um, uh, Vieira is yo girl. Vieira is two, negative 185, and Eubanks is plus 160. Um, I think Vieira's gonna win by decision just because I think she's the more physical like grappler.
Hmm.
Um, the only thing about Vieira though is she she tends to lose a lot of third rounds. Seems like she gasses or something. Maybe she cuts a ton of weight because she's a pretty big girl.
Hmm.
And like I think one of her fights, I remember she fought against some random girl, some blonde chick. Let me see here, Kelly Fashels, and she lost the
Yeah.
third round because she gassed. I think the
Yeah.
same thing happened with Kat Zingano. She gassed in the third round, so she's super strong in the clinch. She could get the. She's very physical, but it doesn't seem like she has a very great grass tank. So However, I think she should win the grappling exchanges against Eubanks. So I'm gonna pick her by decision here, but it's not a safe pick at all, and I'm probably not gonna put any money on it. But that's probably what's gonna happen. Yeah.
Um, yeah, this is one of the four fights that I'm going to be betting on. It's not one of my three most confident, but it's one of the four that I'm going to be putting some decent money on. Um,
I mean, Eubanks did come with that upset, but then that girl that she fought, she blitzed her and left an opening, and Eubanks took it on. Like that other chick was just she was just pretty much like spamming punches. So I don't think Vieira's a spammer. So
yeah,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't. I wasn't too high on Eubanks. Eubanks lost to what's that one chick? The girl, the athletic girl.
uh,
Uh,
Aston Lab.
Beth Correa. Beth Correa.
Oh, okay. You mean
She lost to Beth Correa, man.
the
So
non-athletic girl. She lost to an
yeah,
athletic girl, and then she lost to a non-athletic girl.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. So yeah.
I don't even remember that fight. But I'm looking at the stats, and it was like 77-59 plus one takedown. So
Hmm. Yeah.
you outlanded her and got a takedown, but I don't remember how the fight went. Um, but I do remember her other ones aside from I remember her last like five out of six, I guess. Anyway, so let's get to this fight. So how do I see this going? We have let me go up to the stats. Ketlin Vieira, she is 5'8". Sajar Eubanks is 5'4". So there's a 4 inch height difference, 4 inch height advantage for Vieira. Whether you think that's an advantage or not just depends on you. So 4 inch height difference, and then 68 versus 67 inch reach, so just a 1 inch reach difference. Um, when we get down to the strikes landed per minute, it's 2.74 for Ketlin and 4.71 for Sajara. So not exactly double, but it's getting up there. Getting up there. 2.74 versus 4.71. And then we have strikes absorbed per minute is 3.82 for Ketlin and 3.14 for Sajara. I'm just going to call her Sarge. So Ketlin lands 2.74, but she absorbs 3.82. So she's absorbing more than she's actually landing, which was her downfall in her last fight in December of 2019. I remember that clearly because uh, you and I were watching that in a sports bar, and Ketlin was dominating that entire round except for the very end where she ate one. She kept eating shots because she has zero head movement, and you even told me about that, and I was like, you know what? All she has to do is avoid that big shot, and she's superior. And she actually fought better than I expected her to. But then at the very end, she ate that one big shot, and she went out cold. She was out, and then I think she ate like one follow up shot, but she shouldn't have even been hit again. She was done. Anyway, so she has zero head movement. She's very well rounded. She's not elite in any one area, but she's well rounded. She's good in judo, and jujitsu, and a decent. She has pressure with her striking, but she doesn't have a high output, as I already mentioned. We have Sajara here.
Mhm.
Sajara is oh yeah, going back to that loss for Ketlin, she hasn't fought since December of last year, so she's been out for like nine plus months. Anyway, so going on to Sajara, we have she's on a 2 fight win streak. She just won her last fight against Julia Avila. That was back 2 weeks ago or so. That was on the 12th. Today's the 24th, so I guess 12 days ago. She won that by decision. It was 1-1 going to the third, and then Avila was applying pressure like she usually does, and she did a spinning back fist, I think, and then she got taken down, I believe it was, and then it was just over from there. Very low IQ. Um, so Sajara won that one. She landed 53 strikes to 34 for Julia. She got 3 takedowns, 9 passes. And then before that, she beat Sarah Moras, where it's not really impressive, but a win is a win, right? Sarah Moras. She's still
Mhm.
decent to be in the UFC, but I mean, so win is a win. She landed 85 strikes and had 2 takedowns and 5 passes against Sarah Moras. So 2 wins in a row. Um, and now she's fighting Ketlin Chinny Vieira. So I actually like at plus 160. I've been talking to someone else. I was like he and I were like, dang, her line keeps growing. Her line keeps growing. So I'm actually going to be taking Sajara Eubanks here. I'm definitely not going to take it at plus 160 because I know 100% it's going to once we get to that weigh-in tomorrow, which is on Friday, they're going to see that size difference, and they're going. Everyone has that like I know that a bunch of people are going to be forgetting what actually happened to Vieira and that she has no head movement. So and they're also going to forget
No,
that
she doesn't. She doesn't move her head at all.
yeah, Eubanks
She doesn't move
rarely
her head at all. She just tries to catch the clinch. Is that what she?
yeah,
That's what she's trying to do.
yeah. And another thing is that Eubanks, she rarely loses a first round. Even in the fight she loses, she rarely loses a first round. And why is because
Mm.
she throws a lot of strikes in that first round and she has a ton of power for a girl in that first round. She's a as you already know, she's a hardcore DYKE. You wanna, but anyway, she's a hardcore lady who's into ladies, and she just throws like a dude in that first round as far as that division is concerned. And I think she's going to get a TKO here. And even if she doesn't, her cardio looked improved last time in her last fight 12 days ago. People are like, oh, she's going to be doing another weight cut, and she might not be as fresh in this fight since her last fight it was only going to be a 2 week difference since her last fight, and she's having to cut weight twice. And I'm like, I'm not even worried about that. Why am I not worried about that? Is because uh, Sajara is now at she's at bantamweight at 135. She used to have her major cardio issues when she fought at what's the 125 called flyweight when she fought at flyweight. So she beat Lauren Murphy and Roxanne Modafferi at flyweight, and then she was forced to move up to bantamweight, and then got rocked by she got styled on against Aspen Ladd, and then that Beth loss. I'm not even sure how she lost that one, so I'm not going to even try to make an excuse for the Betch Correa loss. She did lose to her. I'm not sure how, but then she came back and beat Sarah Moras and Julia Avila. So it's women's MMA. We have a dog who is on
Yep.
a winning streak and who's more active, and her line's going to keep growing. And I'm going to be taking her money line as well as a bet on her TKO line at right now. It's currently plus 1,005 on 5 dimes, or bet any sports if you want to. I'm not going to say 5 dimes anymore. It's bet any sports. It's plus 1,005. So I put $5 on that, but when I get to Vegas, I'm gonna put like a little bit more on it. I'll probably put like a couple $100 on Sajar's money line for sure. It's a close fight on
Okay.
paper.
Well,
She's being disrespected, and just the way how these two match up, like the output and the power. If the output favors the output in the power, it favors Sajar Eubanks. She's never been finished in her professional career, and she has a higher output and the more power. So, and she's coming off 2 wins, whereas this other girl's coming off of 9 months off and coming off a KO loss. So, if if people are going to keep betting on Vieira, thanks, fine with me.
okay. Well, it's a girl fight, so could go
Yeah.
either way.
Yep.
Kai Car France versus Brandon Royval. Kai is a pretty big favorite, negative 240, and Royval is plus 200. Initially, I thought Kai Car France was probably going to win, and he probably is. But I feel like Royval is one of those dudes who's like, he could be losing the fight and then just pull off some bullshit and catch something, you know? I feel like Royval is pretty dangerous in the sense where like he'll throw without much hesitation, just because if people take him down, he doesn't mind using his guard or whatnot. And I don't think Kai Car France is safe inside his guard. So if Kai does drop him, I feel like he shouldn't follow him to the ground or anything like that. So I think Kai is probably gonna win a decision here. The decision line's not so good; it's negative 115. So I'm probably just gonna stay away from this fight altogether. But I mean, I could see Royval being dangerous in this fight, just like maybe catching, like I said, he when he throws, he doesn't hesitate when he throws or anything like that. So uh, he could be losing the fight and then catch something and I don't like betting against dangerous guys like that. However, I think Kai Kara France is overall like probably the better wrestler, the better striker, just not the better jiu-jitsu guy. So my pick France. However, no bet.
Okay. I just noticed that I had my microphone away from my mouth, so if it was kind of not as loud before, it might be louder now. So, Kai Kara France, this is one of my three. He is one of my top two most confident picks on this card. I already have a bet on him at was it minus 225 on Bet Any Sports? So I laid 100. So I laid 225 to win 100. When I get to Vegas, that's where I have more money at. So I'm gonna be putting a much larger wager on France. I'm hoping that the height difference will come into play as far as people wanting to bet Royval, as well as people thinking that his submission win in his last fight over Tim Elliott means anything. Everyone knew that if Tim Elliott somehow slips up, he could get subbed, or if he gasses, he'll get subbed, and that's exactly what happened. What's it called? Tim Elliott went for like at least 5 takedowns in that round. He got some of them, but he kept getting back up, or the fight kept getting back on the feet. And once he started round 2, he was legit gassed at the very start, and then he ended up getting subbed in that second round, and now people think that Royval is some fucking legit dude. I think this is a not a setup fight, but it's a great matchup and a great fight for Kai Kara France. We go to the stats. We have France, who is he's 5 feet 4 inches, so he will be shorter. Royval is 5'9", so he's 5 inches taller. France has a 1-inch reach advantage, though, so it's 69 versus 68. So we have the taller guy. Try to picture this in your head. We have the taller guy who's going to be trying to reach down for the shorter guy. So he's a shorter reach and he's taller, versus the guy who's shorter, who loves throwing overhands in general. So he's going to be throwing overhands and he has a longer reach against this guy who's going to have his chin in the air. Royval is listed as a southpaw, but that doesn't mean shit because his striking is not even good. France is an orthodox fighter. The strikes landed per minute, it's skewed for Royval because he only has 1 fight in the UFC, and it was mostly grappling and some like shitty strikes against Tim Elliott. So it only shows 1.93 for Royval. So can't really take that into account until he gets more fights in the UFC. But as for Kai Kara France, let me see. I'm gonna scroll down here. France has 5 fights in the UFC, and his striking stats land per minute are 5.27, which is really high for uh, it's just high, and it does show that he absorbs 3.79 strikes per minute, but that's against guys who are just way better strikers than Brandon Royval. So in France's last fight, he beat Tyson Nam, and then before that, he lost a decision to Brandon Moreno, who is going to be fighting for the title at some point soon, maybe even win it. So there's that, and then he also fought against Raulian Paiva. Some people think that Raulian Paiva is similar, that he's similar to Brandon Royval as far as how the fight will go. If you remember that fight, it
No,
was
I don't think
close.
so. I think they're different fighters.
Yeah, they're different. Yeah, exactly. They're different fighters. They have a similar body type, how they're kind of slim and tall, and they both like are good at jujitsu. But Paiva has like way better pressure. He has way more output. He actually has decent striking, whereas Royval doesn't. He's the opposite of what I just said about Paiva. Um, yeah, so I'm taking Kai Kara France. I'm at least gonna put, because I'm not sure how his line's gonna be when I get to Vegas, but hopefully it gets closer to 200. But either way, I'm gonna be risking at least 1,000, and I'm not sure how much it's gonna win me because I don't know what the line's gonna be, but I'll be risking at least 1,000 on 1,000 more rather, 1,000 on top of the 200 I have on Kai Kara France money line to win.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that he'll like. I mean, this will likely go to a decision. But since, as I mentioned before, since what's his face, Royval is gonna have his head kind of like leaning forward, it's gonna give France more of an opportunity to get that land that big shot. I think France could get a TKO here. Also, Royval said he's gonna be coming forward or pressuring or something similar to like that, something similar to that in his recent interview. So if he's going to be coming forward, that chin's going to be, there's two different chances for that chin to hang. He's going to be coming forward. He's going to eat a big shot on the way in, or he's just going to be trying to bend over and, strike normal, and he's going to eat big shots that way because he's the taller guy with a shorter reach. So I'll take Kai Kara France here, and I'm confident.
Okay. Dominic Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz. Dom is negative 270, and Blachowicz is plus 230. Is a 5 round fight. Um, I like Dominic Reyes. I picked him to beat John Jones by decision, and I got robbed of that.
Mm-hmm.
I like his style. I think he's a really good fighter. I think he's very precise. He's very sharp. He's got a few tools in his toolbox, and he's pretty basic in his style, but he has great timing. And he moves his feet very well. And yeah, I really like him. But the only thing I wasn't sure of is I think this has happened twice now where I feel like he gasses a little bit. So he doesn't seem like a guy who fights stronger as the fight continues. And so in a 5 round fight, I kind of wonder, if he doesn't put Jan away or like put a stamp on the fight or just like name him early. I wonder how he's gonna hold up in the fourth and fifth rounds. So I think in against Ozdemir, I know it was a fight that I kind of lean towards him winning that fight, but still it doesn't matter. Like it just seems like when it goes to decision, like he tends to slow down a little bit. So um, Blachowicz, I think he has pretty good. I mean, I guess he has good cardio now, but in the past he didn't. But he's a really hard guy to put away. So I'm just wondering. But I got Dominic Reyes here to win. I think he's gonna outstrike him. I think he's going to. Yeah, he's gonna look good in the stand up. I just if he doesn't put him away in the first 2-3 rounds, that's when I kind of wonder like, okay, if Jan could survive, what's it gonna look like? So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me Reyes. I don't know if he's gonna win by finish or knockout, but I mean or decision, but yeah, I think he's gonna win.
Yeah. um, Yeah, well, first off, that Dominic Reyes fight against John Jones, man, I mean, I don't remember who I bet on. I probably bet on John Jones. I can't remember exactly. I think I did bet on John Jones, but aside from that, I definitely thought Dominic Reyes won their first 3 rounds pretty clear. Um,
Yeah.
like I was like, because like yeah, I did bet John Jones because I was like, I thought I lost for sure when it went to the decision, and then I heard the decision. I was like, wait, what? I was like, I'll take it, but okay. So I'm just looking at those
Yeah,
stats.
usually when you win those fourth and fifth rounds, for some reason the judges like to give you that split or win or something, you know.
Yeah.
If
So
if you finish strong, you know. So
yeah. Not that John Jones is anything like Jan Blachowicz, but I'm just looking at their stats, their striking stats. Round one, Dominic Reyes landed 23 to 17 strikes. Round two is 33 to 22. Round three is 26 to 19, and then John Jones landed more in the next, the last two rounds. Anyway, so I don't want to go too much into that, but Reyes should have won that title for sure. Anyway, so going into this fight, and going off of what you said about one of the dudes gassing, I think you were mentioning Reyes. I think that both of these dudes have cardio issues going into like championship rounds, or just like I think just going into round three, not even championship rounds, going into round three. If you remember, well, you already remember the John Jones fight. You just mentioned it, and then also remember what happened in the Blachowicz fight against Thiago Santos. He wasn't doing
yeah,
that bad, and in the third round, he had slowed down, and once that third round started, he got blasted. um,
yeah, Parag.
yeah. So I think I had Jan in that fight too. So I was like, I think I was on tilt when he lost that fight. But anyway, so yeah, I think that it's going to end inside the distance. There's a good percentage that ends inside the distance. I don't know who's going to get the finish, but we have. Let me open up this little thing here. All right, so we have. Scroll down. We have Reyes, who has a better pure boxing, and he has better foot movement, and he has good takedown defense. And then we have Blachowicz, he has the better kicks. He has more punching power, legendary Polish power, and he has better BJJ. For some reason, people just assume that this fight's not going to go to the ground. Um, I don't know for sure if it's going to go to the ground, but if it does, Blachowicz is because if it does go to the ground, Blachowicz will be the one taking it to the ground. He'll be the one who wants it on the ground, and if he gets on top of Reyes is going to be fucked. Uh, it's he's heavy on top, and he also has good jujitsu. That is something that no one in the Sherlock forums or any other videos I'm listening to, no one's even mentioning the jujitsu, like it's a non-factor for some reason.
I mean, Jones couldn't get him down, and I think Reyes has some pretty good cage awareness. Like he exits, he backs up really well. Like he moves laterally very well for him. But I've noticed, and he also can. He's very good at breaking the clinch. So
Yeah.
I don't see Jan as a very big threat with the double legs or anything like that. So I don't know. I don't think the fight's gonna get to the ground.
Okay. Um. So yeah, there's that, and then as far as let me go back here. As far as the stats, let me go back to. I just lost my spot. As far as the stats, we have Dominic Reyes. He's 6'4". Blachowicz is 6'2", so 2-inch height advantage for Reyes. Reach, we have the reach is 77 versus 78, so 1-inch reach advantage for Blachowicz. So it's not too big of a difference there. And then we have Reyes is listed as a southpaw. Blachowicz is listed as orthodox. Strikes landed per minute, 4.88 for Reyes, 3.45 for Blachowicz. And then strikes absorbed per minute is 3.0 for Reyes and 2.7 for Blachowicz. So, okay, there's that. And takedown defense, 82% for Reyes. And we have Blachowicz. He gets 1.16 takedowns per fight. It's likely to stay on the feet, but I'm just saying if it does go to the ground, Blachowicz gets it there. It's gonna be a bad day for Reyes. for some reason, Blachowicz does get it down, but he doesn't really like do any damage on top, I would like definitely live bet that shit, because if he gets him down once, he's going to be able to get him down again in probably the next round, because he'll have that confidence. Um, I like. I do think Reyes is going to win, but I don't like. I don't like that his line is minus 270. His money line, like I don't know. I do think he should be favored. I just don't like his line at minus 270. I'm finding a way. I'm trying to find a way for myself to like, to push myself to bet Jan. I do see that he has outs here. Another thing is Reyes is flying from Vegas, and Vegas is 11 hours behind Abu Dhabi. So, and he was yawning when he was doing his interviews, or when he was like on the panel, and he had to wait for wait for his turn to speak. He was yawning, so he's definitely adjusting. He's still a little tired. Whereas Blachowicz, Poland is only 2 hours behind Abu Dhabi, so he doesn't have to make like a big adjustment to the time. So whether that helps out or not, I mean, people like the whole heat thing. That's not it's a non-factor that it's super hot in Abu Dhabi, because that small arena they're in is they have the AC on high, so it's like really cold in there. But people like even are in the last events, people some of the pro fighters were mentioning how they're tired and it was affecting the way they're fighting. So they're like sluggish. There was that one dude, the grappler, that he has a shaved head. He's from Jersey or New York. He got knocked out by uh, Carlos de Ferreira. What's his name? Let me type in his name real quick. But basically, he he said in his dominant win over in Abu Dhabi against whoever it was. I think he's from England. It was some grappler fight. Even he was saying how he looked like shit and he felt like shit just because like the time difference. He just felt tired and sluggish. So I think that I'm not sure that if this fight's, if Reyes or Jan's gonna feel tired, but I think at least one fight on this card is you're gonna see people being tired, and it's gonna affect the way they fight. So I'm leaning with Reyes because he should win this fight, but at some point I am gonna bet Blachowicz. I'm not sure how I'm gonna bet him, but I
Yeah,
will bet Blachowicz.
it might be a live betting opportunity if Dominic can't put him away in the first
Yeah,
3 rounds or four, or at least put a stamp on a fight. So
yeah, all right,
you just kind of have to watch his cardio a little bit.
yeah,
But even then, I still think he's a sharper, better fighter. So
hmm
because I don't see Jan like pressuring Dominic Reyes like the way John Jones did. John Jones was on a mission to like get in his face and force the action, and I don't. Jan is a pretty patient dude, so
it's a total
I
knife
don't
fight.
know if that's gonna gas Reyes out. Yeah, so either
Okay.
way, it's a pretty wide odds.
Oh,
So
well, actually, let me go back to that set for a second, because uh, I think that they're both durable, and something that I'm going to mention, something that I was going to mention in the next fight, which I guess I could just mention it here. Let me go over here. Because the reason why okay, so basically this is a title fight. It's going to be a maximum of up to 5 rounds, and the total is at minus 140 on 5 dimes, but on William Hill it's minus 120. So over two and a
mm,
half is minus 120 on William Hill. So yeah, actually, I'm actually gonna switch my pick. I'm actually gonna keep Reyes as the winner, but I'm gonna be taking the over 2.5 at minus 120 when I get to Vegas, and you'll know why when we get to the next fight.
okay, well, main event is he Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. Everybody's waiting to see this fight. It's a really good one. They're both undefeated. Uh, we know Izzy. He's a very smooth striker. He's a very flamboyant type dude. Very lanky, very rangy, very good in the outside. Very tricky dude. Can fight both stances. Yeah, he's a fun fighter to watch. He's very smooth, but one issue that a lot of people have had of him is that he can be too much of a counter striker, and that turned that Yoel Romero fight and the Anderson Silva fight into a really boring fight just because he's not out there trying to like clobber you. He's trying to be methodical, and um, I don't think we have that. We don't have to worry about that in this fight, just because Paulo Costa is going to be marching forward, like the tank that he is, and he's going to put himself in the line of fire just to get hit, so he can dish one out as well. So, um, that type of fight's kind of scary, man. Just because Costa doesn't give a fuck about you getting hit because he wants to move forward and land his own shots. So he kind of tends to make it into a fight where like it's almost like a war of attrition, in a sense,
Okay.
And the fact that he's a fucking beefcake, man. This guy's fucking huge, man. I don't know how the fuck he makes 185. Like this guy's a fucking heavyweight, man. But dude got a ton of power. He gets in your face. He throws to the body. He has a pretty he just throws with a ton of power, and it's kind of scary, But because like who marches down Yoel Romero? Nobody,
Mm.
Very very scary. However, I do think that Izzy has some pretty good ring craft, and I think he's gonna have the better footwork. I did see Uriah Hall land a ton of jabs against Paulo Costa, so man, it's kind of a scary fight. I'm gonna watch it as a fan. However, I'm gonna pick Israel Adesanya here, and I think he's just gonna pick him off at range and be a little more smoother and just kind of play matador to a bull, So,
Yeah.
but Costa's gonna make it. He's gonna make it very interesting because he's gonna be marching forward, and a fighter like that is very very dangerous. So, yeah, it's gonna be a very dangerous fight for Izzy, but I do think he's gonna win. But yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. This one's got me really excited. As
As a
far as
fan, or something betting wise.
both
Oh, okay.
because yeah, it's a great fight on paper, and you know it's going to deliver. Because like one guy is gonna either come forward, and even if he doesn't come forward, so one guy's gonna come forward and either land shots or get landed on, or even if he doesn't come forward, even if the bull doesn't come forward, he's still gonna get picked off. So there's gonna be action one way or another. So that's why it excites me from a spectator point of view. So in this fight, we have Israel Adesanya. Let me click on this thing here. He is 19-0 as a pro. Paulo Costa is 13-0. So 13-0 as a pro. So someone's always got to go. We have average fight time for Adesanya, 15 minutes and 53 seconds. So almost 16 minutes of average fight time for him. Average fight time for Paulo Costa is 7 minutes, 17 seconds. So that's pretty much, I'm not gonna, that's that. And then height, it's 6'4" for Adesanya and 6'1" for Costa. Reach is 80 inches versus 72 inches. So Adesanya has a 8-inch reach advantage. Adesanya is also listed as a switch stance fighter. And then Costa is orthodox. And they're around looks like they're around 2-year age difference. So, nothing crazy. Both young dudes. We have strikes landed per minute. So both of these guys have, I think Adesanya has 8 fights in the UFC and Costa has 5, if I remember correctly. So we have strikes landed per minute is 3.96 for Adesanya, which is slightly above average. And then we have 8.43 for Costa. So that's a lot. And then strikes absorbed per minute, 2.4 for Adesanya and 6.84 for Costa. So Costa does land a shitload of strikes, but he eats a shitload of strikes too.
Mm-hmm.
Adesanya probably, it's only 2.4, around, little over 2 strikes per minute absorbed. Takedown, there's no takedowns for either of these dudes, so I'm not gonna even go into that. Let's see here. So there's that, and then I'm gonna go to my notes because I took some notes on this fight, written notes. So
You know what I was just
Adesanya,
thinking?
yeah.
No, go ahead. This is
All
something
right.
kind of funny. I was just thinking, like, damn, I wonder how Gastelum fought Izzy.
Hmm.
I wonder how a fight with Costa versus a Gastelum would go. Fucking Costa would be like 2 weight classes bigger than him.
Yeah, yeah. That dude's hella short.
Anyways, go
I
ahead. Go
mean,
ahead.
yeah.
That
For that weight class,
that
he's
would be
like
a funny
so
fight.
short.
Like he's a fucking Hulk. Yeah. So anyway, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Anyway, we have Israel Adesanya. So Adesanya, he's trained by Eugene Behrman. Uh, Eugene, or Huge, as they call him. Eugene trains Adesanya, Kai Kara France, Brad Riddell, and Shane Young. And Paulo Costa is trained by Eric Albertine. You might be familiar with him either by name or by face, probably by face, because he's a really short Hispanic dude who always wears like weird looking like glasses. Like sometimes he'll wear like big square shades, like sorry, big square frames for his glasses. And he'll like this time he's wearing like this big super big face shield that says eraser on it for Paulo the eraser Costa. So he's a aside from the weird looking glasses, he's a high level he's a former high level college wrestler and even like a national wrestler on a high level. He trains some dudes you might know named Henry Cejudo and Patricio Pitbull. Both of them are well. Henry Cejudo is a former champ in the UFC, and Patricio Pitbull is a current champ over in Bellator. Um, so let me go back up to here. So I'm gonna read some of these other stats, and then I'm gonna go into my pick. So we have Adesanya. So according to Joe Osborne of Oddshark.com, this is the thing that I want to mention that applies to the co-main as well. There have been